Welcome to Fantasy Filmball. My name is Dyl, and today things will be a little bit different. Matt, as you know, is currently in film school, and he's got a lot going on at this moment, but we still do want to bring you some Bafta predictions, so I'm going to be here solo doing these a little bit differently today, but don't worry, Matt will be back for some Bafta live reactions at the end of the week, as well as some SAG predictions early into next week. So if you already subscribed to Fantasy Filmball, we have a lot of stuff coming out on the horizon. And the last thing I want to say before we dive into our official predictions here today, or I guess my official predictions here today for the Bafta, is throwing up this winner prediction accuracy for 2025. As you can see, it hasn't really been my year. Critics' Choice 14 of 23, Golden Globes 10 of 15. But what I will say is if you did watch those episodes, you would know that I did change my mind on at least two winners at each of those shows. That did really hamper my score at the end of the day. So today here at the BAFTAs, I'm not going to do that. I am going to stick to what I have, not make any changes, present you what I'm thinking about these awards, and hopefully I can improve and not get 60 or 66%. I can do a little bit more towards some of my prediction accuracy here, because some of these I've done a lot better. With the Oscars, while it was around 80%, I was in the top 200 over on Awards Expert. The BAFTA predictions, I got 82%. The Golden Globes was at 88%. So hopefully, can get that upper echelon here, BAFTA wins, because I do have some spicy picks. I'm not just going with the consensus number one Awards Expert in every category. I got some sprinkled in, but let's not waste any time. Let's dive into these predictions, and let's start right up top to Best Film. And how we're going to be doing these BAFTA predictions is essentially Awards Expert, it's next to me, one of these sides, I'm not really sure, and we're going to look at the community rankings, see what all of you out there are currently predicting inside of these specific categories. Then I'll give a little bit of history with some of these, and then we will go with who our eventual winner is going to be projected. And I mean, film seems like it's going to be pretty obvious, pretty simple, but the community at large, y'all have Hamnet winning this award, which, I get sometimes BAFTA does derive. Last year, they went Conclave over Nora. 2022, they went All Quiet over Everything Everywhere. 2021, Power of the Dog over Coda, which wasn't even nominated at the BAFTA. Sometimes recently, BAFTA does overlap. 2023, we had Oppenheimer. 2022, we had Nomadland. These are years that were definitive that, we didn't need to think much about it. We knew who our clear Best Picture winner is. And I know Sinners has 16 nominations at the Academy Awards, breaking an all-time record, but One Battle was right behind it with 12 or 13 of its own. And I understand if you have doubts about One Battle after another winning Best Picture, but those doubts I don't think apply over here at BAFTA. I think if anything, Sinners does win the Oscar, One Battle wins BAFTA, and it fits this trend of recent BAFTA winners that don't overlap at the Academy Awards. But I mean, it got every single nomination for what it needed over here at the BAFTA Awards, and I don't understand picking against it here. And currently I'm recording this on the 18th. Hamnet has 49% of the win. One Battle has 47%. Maybe a lot of people are going to come in last minute updating their predictions, but One Battle gets an easy win prediction from me for Best Film. Now let's move over to Best Director, where 89% of people have Paul Thomas Anderson with One Battle after another. And what I would say here is the people projecting Hamnet, yes, 2024 was an oddball year where Corbet for The Brutalist won Director and Conclave won Film here at BAFTA, but 2023, Oppenheimer takes both. 2022, All Quiet takes both. 2021, Power of the Dog takes both. 2020, Nomadland takes both. And we can go on and on before COVID as well. And I just think that whatever film you have winning Best Film, you probably should have it taking Director as well. You should hedge your bets. You should play it safe. And like I said in the last category, I just think One Battle PTA, they had them locked, sealed, and delivered here at the BAFTAs. I just don't really think there's much conversation to be had. And I've seen a lot of conversation for our next category of Best Leading Actress, which you see the conversation online, and then you look at Awards Expert, 98% for Jessie Buckley. That's just what it's going to be. And I don't even need to go to previous years. Buckley is on her way to a complete sweep of this category, winning every single precursor, and that trend is not going to end here at BAFTA. But for these major acting prizes, I think the first real conversation we do have to have is over in the Best Lead Actor category, where I'm not going to derive from the majority. 89% are here with Timothée Chalamet and Marty Supreme. I am a part of that 89%, but I would say if you're looking for somewhere for Timmy to lose and to lose the Oscar, it is here. But if you currently have Timmy going on to win the Oscar, he's not going to lose BAFTA. We saw last year where there was a race to be had between Mikey Madsen and Demi Moore. Mikey Madsen won the BAFTA, she won the Oscar. If you have Timmy win the Oscar, you don't need to think twice about it. He's just going to win here as well. Maybe he loses SAG, so they don't repeat their winners for the second time in history after Tom Hanks did the first 2 years of the award. Or actually, I don't remember. Did Hanks win both at SAG? That's not important here. But like, that's been the argument for why people aren't projecting Timmy to win at SAG. But honestly, I just think Timmy goes on to sweep this year. I know to some people that's like the worst thing in the world, but Mari Supreme has shown it is a strong film inside the Best Picture race. It's top 5. This might be the film's only win, but it's something that's going to win at every award show, just like Jessie Buckley in the lead actress category. Moving over to supporting actress, though, look at BAFTA. I'm looking at it here. Going back to 2019, they've only been wrong once, and the 1 year they were wrong was Jamie Lee Curtis with Everything Everywhere, which was an anomaly. She just won SAG. Everything Everywhere won almost everything at that Academy Awards. They went with Carrie Condon here. So history says whoever you have winning the Oscar, you should have win the BAFTA. I'm looking over at awards expert. Tiana Taylor is down at 27%, while Inga Ibsdottir Lilius is up at 63%. I understand at one point in the season thinking Inga could be this title turn wave of a category that's kind of looking for a winner, and this person goes on to just win everywhere off the back of being the most acclaimed performance from her film. But Inga hasn't won anywhere yet. The win conversation for sentimental value is over in the other supporting category. Tiana Taylor is fresh off her Golden Globes win, and that's just going to continue here at BAFTA. She's going to go into one of the SAG, and she's just going to be like Zoe Saldana, Divine Joy Randolph, Ariana DeBose, Yoon Young Jung, Laura Dern, winning BAFTA, winning Oscar. I think really the only conversation you can have about any of these acting categories and whether or not BAFTA might derive over from the Oscar is over in supporting actor, because we have a real race on our hands. Stellan Skarsgård has the Golden Globe. Jacob Elordi has the Critics' Choice. Stellan Skarsgård is not nominated at SAG, so he kind of needs to win this BAFTA award to be real. That would give him 2 precursors, and you can argue 2 of the 3 strongest precursors, where if Elordi goes on to win SAG, then he would have the second strongest precursor, or maybe the strongest of SAG, but then also have the weakest of Critics' Choice. But just like supporting actress, supporting actor has lined up with the Oscar. Look at it here. We got Kieran Culkin, Robert Downey Jr., Troy Kotsur, Daniel Kaluuya, Brad Pitt. The only year where it went different, again, was the Everything Everywhere year, where BAFTA just did not care about that movie. It gave All Quiet so many wins, and then in the acting categories, it went with Banshees with both of its supporting acting players. While here, I really think you take your pick. Who do you think is going to win the Oscar? Do you think Stellan can do it off the backs of BAFTA and Golden Globes, but with no Screen Actor Guild Award nomination? Or do you think Elordi, behind SAG's, most likely win, behind the Critics' Choice, and then adding the BAFTA here, winning 3 of the major 4 precursors? Who do you have? That's the direction you go. I get one battle, maybe it rebounds because it's just winning so much, but they haven't shown that in the past in these acting categories. Like, look at Conclave last year. Not a single one of its actors won, despite the fact it won film feature. And you can go to previous years as well, where just because you're winning the film award doesn't mean you need an extra acting win if you're not already getting those acting wins for one battle after another. That's where I think Tiana Taylor comes in. She's already won something. Leo hasn't won anything. Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro haven't won anything of notoriety yet. So I think here you got to go between Elordi, you got to go between Stellan Skarsgård, and currently, I am leaning towards Elordi. I think he is going to be our Oscar winner. I think he will have BAFTA in his pocket. I think he will have the Screen Actors Guild in his pocket. And I think he will have Critics' Choice. But like I said, if Stellan does win this award, then I switch over to Stellan Skarsgård for my Oscar prediction. And I know Matt, he's not here. He's probably screaming from somewhere else saying Stellan's going to win. I've been saying it all year long, and maybe he does. I just think that the acting branch showed they have a little bit of hesitation to international feature films. The only film to be nominated at SAG that was an international feature was Emilia Perez, which had its acting win go on to victory last year. And you look at the Academy, they don't really have any other international performances winning acting prizes in the last few years. And I don't know, it's just a hedge I can't find myself overcoming at this moment. But like I said, if Stellan does get the BAFTA, then I can find myself jumping over that hurdle. Speaking of hurdles, I don't really think there's going to be many over here in the screenplay category. Our Oscar winner has won this, looking here, every year going back to a long ways, with the exception of course, our All Quiet on the Western Front year. That one year, 2022, continues to be the anomaly that, if you go back to the stats of BAFTA, is the times where stuff does not line up with the Oscars and does not line up with how the season ends up as a whole. That's why I'm confused why 61% of people have Hamnet winning the BAFTA award. One Battle has won everything so far. It won the Golden Globe despite going up against films and original screenplay, when Golden Globes always go with original films. One Battle has the juice, it has the heat, it has the backing. It's going to get picture, it's going to get director, it's going to get adapted screenplay. However, I guess there can be some conversation over in the original screenplay category, but I think going back to an example in adapted, American Fiction, it won BAFTA with no other BAFTA nominations. It derived from the course showing that, hey, BAFTA will still recognize a screenplay if it doesn't fit with the rest of their sensibilities. Last year, they gave it to A Real Pain, and that went over Anora, which I guess you can point to being like, hey, maybe BAFTA doesn't know what they're talking about all the time, because clearly Anora was the movie to beat in the category. They still gave it an acting win with Mikey Madsen. It still won casting. It wasn't like Everything Everywhere, which they just didn't acknowledge whatsoever, which is another example of BAFTA in the past not overlapping with original screenplay. In fact, I guess as I'm looking at the stats here, BAFTA has shown they can kind of go astray, kind of like every other year. 2018, The Favorite, lost the Oscar. 2019, Parasite, won the Oscar. 2020, Promising Young Woman, won the Oscar. 2021, Licorice Pizza, lost the Oscar. 2022, Banshees, lost. 2023, Anatomy, win. 2024, A Real Pain, loss. With all that being said, though, awards experts, 72% of people out there are currently predicting Sentimental Value to take home Best Original Screenplay, while Sinners is down at 24%. And unlike American Fiction, which won the BAFTA with no other nominations, Sinners has nominations at BAFTA. It's in director, it's in picture. It got almost every nomination it needed down the line. It has 16 nominations at the Academy Awards. It's already won the Critics' Choice. It's probably going to win WGA, especially since Sentimental Value is not there. I just don't see the reason to derive here. Where like last year, Anora clearly seemed to be a film that you either loved it or you didn't like it, with BAFTA being the one exception. I grant you that. Mikey Madsen casting still won. But going back to some other years with BAFTA, Anatomy of a Fall won the BAFTA, won the Oscar. Banshees was a year where they just did not care for Everything Ever All at Once. Licorice Pizza won over Belfast, but Belfast was a film that BAFTA did not respond to as much as they did with Licorice Pizza. Promised Young Woman kicked off the win for that. Parasite, same thing. So like, I just don't see the reason to derive from Sinners here with I guess the stipulation being you think Sentimental Value is going to win the Oscar for original screenplay, but this will be the only place it wins at in the lead up, and we haven't had a winner like that in either screenplay category in a long time. I can't even think of one off the top of my head. So Sinners has my prediction here. I'm with the 24%, the minority here on awards expert, but Sentimental Value is currently where most people's odds lay. Up next, though, we're moving to the new category here at the Academy Awards. Well, it's been around at the BAFTAs for about 7 years, but that is a Best Casting. And the BAFTA, they have clearly shown what they like. 2019, Joker wins this. It has an acting win. 2020, Rox wins this award. No acting win over something like Judas that does have an acting win, but Rox has a lot of kids. It's also a more British-centric production. 2021, West Side Story, acting win. 2022, Elvis, acting win. 2023, The Holdovers, acting win. 2024, Anora, acting win. Looking at this year's nomination lineup, I swear, probably not winning an acting award. Mari Supreme, Timothy Chalamet, let's keep that one around. One battle after another. Tiana Taylor, let's keep it around. Sentimental Value, Stellan Skarsgård, possibly. I don't have him winning, so I'm going to take it out, but I understand if you have Stellan winning, you would keep it around. And Sinners. Sinners is what I have winning the Oscar. It's what I expect to win the Artius Award, which is the Casting Guild over Marty Supreme. But with Sinners, I feel like it's much in line with something like Everything Everywhere in terms of this specific category back in 2022. It got the nomination at the BAFTA Awards. It didn't win any acting awards at the BAFTA Awards. Therefore, it loses this prize out to Elvis, where Everything Everywhere did win at the Guild. And if the category had existed at the Oscars, it probably would have won that category over Elvis at the Oscars. So Sinners is something that currently 20% of people that currently 20% of people are predicting on Awards Expert. I was one of those before I sat down here. Just sitting down here, looking at the previous 7 years, looking at how much they do love their acting wins. What I will say, the casting director of Sinners, Francine Maisler, is the most nominated individual here at the Bafta. Is it time for her to finally get a win to her name? She has yet to win across her 3 nominations. Maybe it will derive from the track record showing, hey, you don't need an acting win if your film is just that strong. But I am going to lean to One Battle After Another winning this award this time around. Like I said, I think Teyana Taylor can win. I think that pairs up nicely there, and I think One Battle will win its category over at the Guild, and then we will have a real battle heading into the Oscars. One Battle has a Guild win, it has the BAFTA win. Sinners, it has a Guild win, and it has the Critics' Choice win. Which matter more heading into the Oscars? Most people probably say the BAFTA, but we'll kind of have to see how that weighs out. I'm just going to quickly pass over a few of these categories, like Best British Film, Hamnet, it should win this award. The only times we've really seen in the past where they derive from the biggest film in the category is if there's 2 big films in the category. And I mean, I Swear got an acting and screenplay nomination, but I don't think this is a Zone of Interest versus Poor Things situation. I just think that Hamnet takes the award here. In British debut, Pillion is the only film in this category with another nomination, therefore let's give it the win. So that's going to bring us over to Best Film Not in the English Language. Currently, 93% of people have Sentimental Value for the win, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Sentimental Value has nominations across the board here at the BAFTA Awards. Secret Agent didn't even find Wagner Moore into the long list. Original screenplay did get in, but casting wasn't even on their short list. It was just an accident. Got no other nominations here. Sarat, the voice of Hen Rajab, aren't really competing for a win in my opinion. And I would say, typically, a Sentimental Value win here is massive. It means big things. It's going to go on to win the Oscar. The one stipulation I will have with that is BAFTA isn't always perfect. They usually are, because they usually have the one Best Picture nominee in the category, since the category has started to be more receptive to international features. The one asterisk is last year with Emilia Perez. It had all the nominations at BAFTA. I'm still here. We're starting to gain buzz during voting, but Emilia Perez still won despite all of the controversy around it. And I think that was because the fact that Emilia Perez was in picture, director, lead, supporting, screenplay, editing, production, all down the line. It had like 12 nominations. And this year, Sentimental Value has those nominations. Secret Agent does not. Does Sentimental Value have all the negative aura and energy that Emilia Perez had last year? No. But I do think that Secret Agent is rising their ranks and people are talking about this film. I just think that we haven't had a fair shakedown of these 2 movies going against each other. What I think is most interesting in this race between The Secret Agent and Sentimental Value is they're each going to have one award show that clearly preferred them over the other. The Golden Globes gave the Best Lead Actor win to Wagner Moura. They may not have had the film and director or screenplay, but I would argue if voting happened like a month later, yeah, they probably would have extended those nominations over to Wagner Moura, and it won there over Sentimental Value. Here at BAFTA, Sentimental Value has all the nominations it needs. It's going to win because Secret Agent isn't something that was very receptive to them. And then over at Critics' Choice, they didn't include Sentimental Value in their category. It was in their Best Picture category, and they have this new rule: if you're in picture, you can't be an international feature. It still probably would have won that category, but the thing I will say, but at that time, it was just an accident. It had more Best Picture buzz, and they still went with The Secret Agent over It Was Just an Accident. So I think they each have a pro in their corner heading into the Oscars. I'm going to go with Sentimental Value here because of everything I just said, but Secret Agent is still something I am predicting to win the Oscar in this category. And the next one we'll talk about is a category that doesn't really matter for the Oscars, is animated feature, because our Oscar winner is not here because it was not eligible. This year they only have 3 nominees, and 81% of people agree with me that Zootopia 2 will be our winner here. Zootropolis 2, if you want to go by what the Brits call it. Little Amelie, I think, has shown that it is the stronger indie film over something like Arco, because Arco doesn't show up in this lineup. But what I will say is last year they had the opportunity to do something more indie, and they went with Wallace and Gromit over Flow. If they have something that's just bait to them, they're going to do it, and I think Zootopia, qualifies as BAFTA bait being from Disney, being the highest grossing film in the category. Moving along to Best Documentary, this is a category where I kind of do wish Matt was here. Matt is someone who is much more well versed into the world of documentary feature than I am, but the thing I will say is sometimes not knowing, not being as attached to some of these films, just like Over the Shorts, gives you a leg up because then you're not a little bit biased or preconceived heading into some of these categories. Currently on Awards Expert, The Perfect Neighbor has 50% of the vote, Apocalypse in the Tropics with 41%, 2,000 Meters with 6%, Mr. Nobody Against Putin with 2%, and Cover Up with 1%. Going into years past, 2024, our Oscar winner, No Other Land, was nominated. They went with Superman, which I don't think even made the Oscar shortlist. Definitely didn't make the final 5. 2023, they do line up with the Oscars with 20 Days in Mariupol. 2022, Navalny does win both. 2021, Summer of Soul does win both. 2020, My Octopus Teacher does win both. So post-COVID, if the winner is here, it has won every time with the exception of one. And that one time it didn't win, you could say the film that would be the winner, if it wasn't gatekept by the doc branch, did win the award. So this year, we have what I would expect to be our for sure Oscar winner of The Perfect Neighbor in the category. So I think it will just go on to win the BAFTA. We don't have something like My Undesirable Friends, we can argue was gatekept by the doc branch. You don't have something like Come See Me in the Good Light, which while it did get the Oscar nomination, many people were saying it would be gatekept by the doc branch. I guess we do have 2,000 Meters, Apocalypse in the Tropics, and Cover Up, 3 films that were gatekept in a sense by the documentary branch, but these are 3 films that most people were either predicting or thought could get nominated. It's not like this is a celeb doc. It's not like this is a feel-good doc. These are the type of stuff the doc branch would award if they had a reason to. The reason why these 3 films didn't get their documentary nomination is a sequel, another sequel, and a lesser documentary from someone they've already awarded very recently. So I understand the reason why these 3 films didn't make doc at the end of the day, even if I was predicting 2 of them. And I really think here it's The Perfect Neighbor versus Putin, but I would say is our doc winner, when they are nominated, they do win this award. And Perfect Neighbor, I think, just makes so much sense for the Oscar doc winner. So I think it's just going to take both BAFTA and the Oscar. And like I said, the one exception is No Other Land last year, but the film it lost to wasn't even there at the Academy Awards. So I think this year it's got to be The Perfect Neighbor because Superman was gatekept due to the fact that the type of doc it is. 2,000 Meters or Apocalypse or Cover Up wasn't gatekept because it's covering a celebrity or it's feel good or this or that. They were gatekept because those filmmakers have had recent successes with the Academy Awards, and sometimes it's a direct follow-up to the previous movie. So, I don't know. I'm rambling now. I'm just trying to keep this a little bit short for everyone out there because it's just one guy yapping, not 2. So let's move us over to cinematography, which there's a real conversation to be had about this category. Center, 64% of people are predicting. What I will say, I was one of those 64%, but it lost Critics' Choice. It lost BSC. Will it win ASC? I don't know. And it lost Critics' Choice to Train Dreams. Train Dreams is here. But it lost BSC to One Battle After Another, which is also here. And I will say, BSC didn't even nominate Train Dreams. So, to me, you kind of have to exclude Train Dreams out of this category. Because, the last time something won the BAFTA that wasn't even nominated at BSC is 2012 with The Life of Pi, Claudio Miranda. And, that's a long time ago. So for me, Train Dreams thrown out, Frankenstein, Mars Supreme, it's been around, it's just lost to other films. So it leaves me with One Battle and Sinners. And looking here, their track record at the Academy is pitch perfect. Brutalist, Oppenheimer, All Quiet, Dune, Nomadland. Nomadland is the one that did go on to lose the Oscar. But even before that, 1917, Roma, Blade Runner, La La Land, The Revenant, Birdman, Gravity, Life of Pi even, they line up with the Oscar. So what I will say here is, what do you believe is winning the Oscar? Sinners or One Battle After Another? Does Sinners make history being the first woman DP ever to win the Academy Awards? We had this conversation about Elvis a few years ago after it won the ASC. We had this conversation with a film that lost here a few years ago to showcase that, hey, maybe it's not as strong as we're expecting it to be with The Power of the Dog and Ari Wegner. I think that is the real selling point behind Sinners. Obviously, with the fact they got 60 nominations, but One Battle did just win BSC, and those BSC winners usually do repeat over here at BAFTA. And Michael Ballman is someone who I was personally projecting to win early in the season. The win started to go to Sinners with the critics groups. I know some people were predicting Train Dreams along the ride the whole way through, but I just think with the BSC win, One Battle is emerging itself as the new frontrunner in this category. So I will be going with One Battle after another for Best Cinematography. Now that we are moving to some of these below the line categories, I'm hoping to blow through some of these a little bit quicker because in my opinion, a lot of these awards just kind of make sense in the direction that they're going. Let's start off with Best Editing, which since post-COVID, BAFTA has kind of gone their own way a few times. 2020, they went with Sound of Metal. 2021, they went with No Time to Die. 2022, they went with Everything Everywhere All at Once. The only award it did win at BAFTA. It was just that undeniable. 2023 was Oppenheimer, and 2024 was Conclave. The years where it didn't line up, Anora obviously was just a down-the-line check vote ballot for Sean Baker. Anora didn't even win the ACE Award. Like that, the Oscar was the only editing prize it did win. And then going back to something like No Time to Die, that was a year where each precursor had a different editing winner, and then Dune ends up taking at the end of the day. What we're seeing this year is not each precursor has its own editing winner. Not a film that hasn't won anything yet is going to win the Oscar. F1, it has CCA. It's most likely going to win the ACE Award because that and One Battle are in different categories. And I think it's just going to win the BAFTA and it's going to win the Oscar to pair with its sound win. Very similar to something like Sound of Metal, which we just talked about here. I just think F1's going to win this award. Currently, 18% of people have that here at the BAFTAs. One Battle After Another is by far in the lead with 77%. And I think if One Battle does win, it's very similar to something like Conclave last year. It just matches up with their Best Picture winner. But at the same time, it does not carry over to the Academy Awards. We do this for the Oscars. Let's do it for the BAFTA as well. Let's do Best Sound. We just did Best Editing. And since COVID, they have gone perfect in this category with the exception of one year, which of course is going to be our All Quiet on the Western Front year, where Top Gun Maverick did lose out on this award to All Quiet on the Western Front. And I mean, this year, what do we expect to win the Oscar? F1. And 92% of people agree with me here. It's won everything so far. It's going to go on to win everything. The fact that it got the Best Picture nomination just means, hey, this film is strong. And going back to my argument at the beginning of the season for having F1 in Best Picture, if you have a guaranteed Oscar win and you have other nominations tied to your name, you're going to make Best Picture. And I just think throughout the year, obviously, the Metacritic came out. That wasn't as high as I wanted to be, and everyone, like in unison, seemed to drop that film. I kept it for a while, but once we got into later parts in the season, I kind of had to give up on it. I'm so mad about it because I feel like I was the only person here on YouTube and one of the few people in Awards Expert actually gunning for F1 for a Best Picture nomination for a large part of the season. And it happened. Can be happy. But yeah, 2 Oscar wins, 2 BAFTA wins for F1. Crazy stuff. Continuing our way down the line of some of these tech and craft categories, let's get to the 3 Frankenstein categories because these 3 should be locked, signed, sealed, and delivered. Currently, 95% of people have it for production design, and the BAFTAs have been perfect with the exception of 1 year since COVID. Mank went on to win. Dune went on to win. Poor Things went on to win. Wicked went on to win. And the 1 year where they strayed different makes no sense because the BAFTA showered All Quiet on the Western Front with wins, and they didn't give it production design, but the Oscars do. And I just think Frankenstein, it's going to continue its dominance. It's going to continue its sweep. It's going to win production design. And the same can be said about costumes as well, because there was a part of me thinking, what if Sinners could tackle an additional win that would come from the guilds, that would come from the love of Ruth E. Carter. She has shown in the past that she can overcome any obstacle of both Black Panther movies, getting wins there despite strong competition. And this year I was like, what if she wins there? But she lost to the guild and she lost directly to Frankenstein. With all that being said, let's go to our last Frankenstein sweep win here for best makeup and hairstyling. 98% of people in the app, that includes me. There's no real need to think about anything else in this category. It's just gonna be Frankenstein. 3 BAFTA wins.
As I'm sitting here editing the episode, I just realized something that I completely blanked on mentioning while recording is the fact that yes, this stat did break last year, but typically we do see best makeup and hairstyling tie with an acting win. And this goes back to previous years too, where we weren't really sure what had happened because obviously there was the whole Maestro versus Poor Things situation where Bradley Cooper did not really seem in the win conversation anymore. And we're like, well, is Emma Stone going to win? I know here on Fantasy Filmball, both Matt and myself stuck strong with Emma Stone all season long, but there was a large contingent of people out there more so on the Lily Gladstone train. And I think that's a situation we can have this year as well, where we return to the stat correlation of makeup and hairstyling with an acting win, because Jacob Elordi is caked up in makeup and Frankenstein. You can't think about the performance that Elordi gives without thinking about the makeup that he's in and the hair pieces that they do give him and they do remove from him. So I just think it makes so much sense here in retrospect, but the fact that I am recording this and the fact that I am so passionate about it, it means that probably it won't happen, and it's just going to be Stellan Skarsgård, and Frankenstein can win makeup with no acting win. But food for thought, you know?
We're almost to the end of the episode here, so if you made it this far, consider a like. If you've made it this far, hopefully I've said something that's been interesting to you. It helps the channel continue to grow. Comment down below if any takes that you disagree with. I haven't just gone with the number one on awards expert every time, so I'm straying a little bit here. Are you straying with me? Are you straying away? But let's dive into best visual effects, where Bafta has been pretty lined up with the Oscars. Tenet, Dune, The Way of Water, Dune Part 2, with the one exception being Poor Things, where they did not even nominate the winner of Godzilla Minus One. That doesn't even matter. This year they did nominate Avatar Fire and Ash. It's just going to win this award. I get there's maybe a small contingent, but that contingent seems very small because it's only 2% here on Awards Expert. Avatar, it's had this engraved ever since they announced they're going to make a third movie, and it's just going to happen here at the BAFTA, and it's going to happen over at the Oscars as well. And that's going to move us to our last category that does overlap with the Academy Awards, Best Original Score. I guess here they call it Original Music. And I mean, our Oscar winner has won the BAFTA every year since COVID. Soul, Dune, All Quiet, Oppenheimer, The Brutalist. Awards Expert has centers at 90%. I am a part of that. It's won everything so far. It's won every head-to-head battle of one battle after another as well. The guilds give it the win. The Golden Globes have given it the win. The Critics' Choice has given it a win. It hasn't strayed anywhere. I do believe if you want to give one battle some extra wins like I am doing, I think it's over in cinematography. I think it's in casting. I don't think it's here in score. Johnny Greenwood hasn't won anything yet. Ludwig Göransson hasn't missed anything yet, and we've seen BAFTA falls in line with the Oscars pretty well, and they don't mind giving people repeat wins. They just gave Ludwig another win in a sweep year for Oppenheimer, so I just think he's going to win his third, and it's what I said the first thing after I came out of that movie. I gave the review here on this channel is the Music and Centers might be his best work yet. Will they really give him a third one? And the answer is yeah. They just will. And we're going to get to our final category here of the 79th Annual BAFTA Awards for predictions, and this is going to be the Rising Star Award. And what I want to say here is this is a fan vote. This is not a jury of people picking a win. Let's look at some recent years. 2024, they have an acting winner here, Mikey Madsen. She didn't win the award. They went with David Johnson. 2023, they have an acting nominee here of Jacob Elordi. They went with Mia McKenna-Bruce. 2022, they have, I don't think they had any acting nominees here, but they went with Emma Mackey. And then 2021, they had an acting winner of Aaron DeBose. They had a acting contender of Cody Smith-McPhee, but they went with Lashana Lynch. And in 2020, I don't think they had any acting nominees here. So that brings us to 2025. And I mean, yes, I get people love Chase Infinity. I love Chase Infinity. But she's not going to win a popular fan vote of British people. Same thing with Miles Caden. He's not going to win a popular fan vote of British people, despite the fact that their films are in Best Picture, despite the fact that they had precursor nominations, despite the fact that they were in the running for a BAFTA nomination. I think Archie makes a lot of sense. He fits what these BAFTA voters seem to want to go with. Someone young, someone who's fresh into their career and has a little bit of clout and notoriety in the British circles. But I mean, Robert A. Romero has that as well. He also has the acting nomination. He also has a film that has done very well at the UK box office. So I just think that he makes so much sense for this award. But Archie would probably be my alternative here, just because while he's not nominated for anything particular this year, he has had films that have been in the realm of awards for a little bit. He was in Midsummer. He was in Gran Turismo, which is a film that did very well over the UK box office. He was in Beau Was Afraid. He was in Saltburn in a pretty big role, and he was in Lurker this year, which didn't get any BAFTA nominations, but as we just saw at the Independent Spirit Awards, did very, very well. So he would be my spoiler, but Robert A. Romero just makes way too much sense. With all that being said, though, we have reached the end of this video. As I'm looking at myself for the first time in like 40 minutes, I have been yapping for a little bit. Had so many tabs open with previous winners, as well as the awards expert odds. I just want to say thank you so much. Consider a like, a subscription. It helps the channel continue to grow. Comment down below of what you disagree on, or if there's any takes I said that may have swayed you to go in any sort of direction. This year, I've had some W's in award season, I've had some L's in award season, but hopefully as we enter the final chapter of award season, I can close out strong and add some more W's to the board. But until next time, my name's Dyl. This has been Fantasy Filmball. Peace.